Hi lovelies, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be going about the sewing of this beautiful bustier peplum blouse you see right here with a yoke. So it also has a sweetheart neckline, and if it sounds like something you are definitely interested in learning how to do, continue watching, and without much ado, let's get started. So the first part of this tutorial, which is the drafting part, is on the channel, and the link to the tutorial will be in the comment section. So you just have to click on that link to watch the video so that you understand every step that will be taken in the second part of this tutorial, which is going to be basically the sewing part or the joining part of all of these drafted pieces. So after drafting on our pattern paper, we went ahead to cut out on our Ankara fabric. So this is for the back part of our blouse, and you can see that I added 1.5 inches stitching allowance. I notched my dart, and on the top part I added half of an inch for joining, and I also cut out on my lining piece. So for my back yoke, as you can see, I labeled it here. I also added half of an inch for joining allowance to the Ankara part of our dress, and this is for the front part of our dress. And you see that I added half of an inch all around, and the top part for the center front. To the side front, I added to the side 1.5 inches for stitching allowance, and for the other side I added just half of an inch for joining allowance. So remember that we are cutting on fold. Now this is the yoke for the front part. I also added half of an inch at the base for the joining allowance to the Ankara part of our blouse. So I cut out two pieces because I want to be using this same lace as the lining. So I'm going to place the right sides facing each other and stitch the neckline area and flip it to the right side and iron. So I'm going to remove all my pins now and remove my pattern paper from my fabric. So on my fabric on the wrong side, I iron my stay, and to my lining as well, I iron my stay. This is for the center front. Now for the side front of my dress, I will remove the pattern paper I have as well. I iron my stay to the fabric I have right here, and also to my lining piece. Remember, on the wrong side. So now this is the right side of my fabric, as you can see right here. So I'll go ahead and cut out my wadding piece for the padding of our bustier. So I'll spread this out like this and now fold it in. So I'll get my center front and fold it, okay, into two like this, just the same way we cut on fold. Now remember to also notch your under bust, okay? Remember to notch your under bust. So place your fabric on top of your wadding piece this way and pin. Take up your under bust, that is the part where you notch, and now cut the base, the sides, and also the top. We are pinning from the folded end of your wadding piece, okay? So this is what it's going to look like when you are done. So I'll open this up, and this our wadding piece is not meant to start from exactly the top part of our fabric. So for that, we're going to reduce just half of an inch from this our wadding piece. All right, so I'll cut it out after marking this half of an inch. Then when you are now placing your wadding on your dress, make sure it's on exactly on the under bust. That is the reason why you have to notch your under bust on your fabric while cutting. So here now is for the side front. I'll also fold my wadding piece into two. I'll get my side front and I'm going to place it on my wadding piece. So this time around, I'm going to push it down so that it will start from my under bust, okay? I don't want to raise my fabric up. So I will cut off this part, this cuffed part, and then when I get to the top, I will stop. Then on the bust point, which is from that end, you're going to mark your nipple points plus half of an inch, because the side of our boobs is fuller, okay? So you're going to mark it on that wadding piece. Make a mark right there, make a mark at the top part and also on the under bust, and you now go ahead and connect it together this way. So those dots will be connected this way, and you cut out exactly the way you have connected. So remember, I said that it's not meant to start from the upper part of our fabric. It's meant to be like half of an inch away from the top part of our fabric. So I notched the upper part because at this point it will be looking the same with the lower part of your wadding piece. So I subtracted half of an inch from the top part of this our wadding piece for the sides, and I also did the same thing. So when you are placing it, make sure that it's exactly on your under bust, and then you go ahead and iron the same way I've shown you right here. you're ironing the shiny parts to the wrong side of your fabric. So right here I've ironed it, and you can see that it has sticked perfectly from the under bust. Okay, so now flipping this to the right side, I'll get one part of the side front, and I'm going to pin it on this part on the center front. So you are going to pin from the base upward. All right, so just take your time and bring your pins and pin this from the base upward this way. So as you're pinning, you will realize that it's curved, so you're meant to force this curve to align with your center front. So after pinning, go ahead and mark half of an inch. Remember the half of an inch which I left for our joining allowance for this part. So mark half of an inch to the till you get to the top part, and you now go to your sewing machine and stitch. Do the same thing for the other side front, and repeat the same thing on your lining piece, because everything we do for the fabric we do for our lining piece as well. So when you are done stitching, go ahead and iron your seam open. Like just open it up, spray water, and use your iron and iron using your tailor's hammer. Okay, so it's as simple as that. So you can see what it looks like. You can see that they align perfectly on the under bust area. So I also went ahead to repeat the same thing for my lining piece. We are not padding our lining. The only piece we are padding is our fabric. So this is what it looks like on the right side. You can see how fully cut it is. So here it is. So the next is our yoke. I've stitched the neckline and also turned this to the right side and ironed this perfectly. So the next thing now is to fix our yoke to our bustier or our dress. Okay, so right now I'm going to get my dress on the neckline, that's on the sweetheart neckline. I'm going to ensure that that pointy part on my yoke and that deepest part on my dress are going to align this way. Then I'll use my pin and pin them together. So I'm going to pin for one side because it's easier for you to get a perfect stitch when you pin one side and stitch before you go ahead to pin the other side and stitch. Okay, so I'll pin this till I get up to the armhole area. So when you must have pinned this first, you're not going to get your lining piece, because this your yoke is meant to be in between your fabric and your lining piece. So normally I iron my hemming gum to this by stitching it on top. Okay, as I'm joining my yoke to my fabric and my lining, I also stitch my hemming gum so that by the time I'm done stitching everything, I can go ahead and iron this so that it can stick very well. Okay, so now I'm going to cover this up with your fabric this way, but remember I'll be placing my hemming gum as well. So get your hemming gum and also place it from that middle of your neckline, and also pin your lining piece right sides facing your fabric. Okay, so this is the wrong side of my lining facing the camera, so I'm just going to also pin my lining piece and my hemming gum together the same way I pinned for my yoke. All right, so pin this till you get to the armhole. So when you are done pinning this up to your armhole, flip this to the other side. Then you're going to mark half of an inch. But if you cut half of an inch away from your padding, you're just going to follow that step and just stitch it from that middle to your armhole. So you can see I've done it right here. So this is what it looks like. And I'll go ahead and also pin for the other side of my yoke and my lining piece, and also include my hemming gum so that it will be easier for me to iron it and to lap, because I don't really like top stitching on my lining piece. Okay, so pin to the armhole area. I will get my hemming gum and also pin it in between. So just take your time and do this properly and you'll definitely love the outcome. Okay, so just make sure you use your pin to pin first. Like I said, I don't like top stitching on my lining piece. That is why I always sew my hemming gum together with my lining and fabric. So also do the same thing. So when you're done stitching that, arrange it at the sides and pin as I'm pinning right here. I'm going to join the both sides using just 1/4 of an inch. That is 2 lines from the beginning or the tip of your tape. All right, So when I was done, I notched that center part of this my dress on that sweetheart neckline. So I joined the side, and at one side my lining piece was like bigger than my fabric. I just cut it out. So I've secured the two sides, and now on the right side, this is what this my dress looks like. This is for the front part, so you all can see what it looks like right here, even on the neckline. And I'll go ahead now to iron this properly. So please make sure that you don't burn your dress. You can actually use your tailor's ham and place it on that your sweetheart neckline and iron this. So for the back now, I'm going to join them all together. So I also have 2 pieces of my yoke for my back, so that I can stitch the neckline and flip it to the right side and also iron. So stitch the neckline. When you're done stitching the neckline, you're going to get your fabric, and you're going to ensure that you place this your yoke. The zipper allowance part should also be on the zipper allowance part, and the right side of your yoke should be on top of your fabric. Cover it up with your lining piece, and at that top part you're going to stitch using just 1/2 inch. Remember, it was added while I cut on my fabric. And also join the both parts using 1/4 inch. Go ahead and also stitch in your dart, just as I've done right here. So this is it, and this is all I have so far. So the next, I'm going to join the front part and the back part of our dress together. Then on the shoulder, so open your shoulder this way on the joints you have for the front part and the back part of your dress. On the shoulder, right sides facing each other, you're going to pin them so that you can have a neat joining. So make sure you spread them out this way, just as I've done right here. When you stitch using 1/2 inch, you're going to have a neat finishing, and the lines are not going to be showing, like the joints are not going to be showing. Okay, so when you are now done doing that, you now place the sides together this way, right sides facing each other, and you also go ahead and pin. So when I'm done pinning, I'll mark my stitching allowance. So remember that at both sides of this our dress, I stitched my lining and my fabric together using 1/4 inch. So for that reason, I'm going to stitch using 1 inch and 1/4. Okay, so it's not going to get up to 1/2 inch again because of the 1/4 inch which we've used already to join our fabric and our lining together. All right, so repeat the same thing for the other side, and I joined using 1 inch and 1/4. That is 1 inch and 2 lines, okay, on your tape. So I went ahead to also measure my dress, and I have the same length that is on my half length as well. So after joining, this is the right side and this is the wrong side. So I also went ahead to measure my waist from the stitch I have, and it's corresponded, so you can see it right there. So here it is, and when I got everything which aligned perfectly, I went ahead to also fix my sleeve as well and join it to the peplum which I have fixed to this. I also have a detailed tutorial on how to go about the drafting and the cutting of this peplum, and you can see how nice and full this is looking. This is actually a 720 degrees flare. So if you're interested in that, the link to the tutorial will be in the comment section. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. See you all on the same channel. Have a lovely time ahead of you. Bye.